All right, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our second video, which is essentially starting from the beginning and pulling down Posh-Easy Win from GitHub and executing some of the scripts to get it up and running, and also importing data from Active Directory either via remote or kind of showing you if you need to do it manually. Provide an administrator who has admin rights to Active Directory to do it for you. Kind of go over how to do that real quick. We're going to go over that and some other real nifty features inside Posh-Easy Win that'll hopefully make your analyst experience using PowerShell a lot easier and a lot more fun. So without further ado, let's get started. So if you navigate to the GitHub page, you can simply Google Posh-Easy Win GitHub. It'll take you straight to the main page. You can pull down the master version from here. Really easy to do that. Once you do that, place it wherever you need to on your desktop or downloads folder. And I have mine here named Posh-Easy Win Demo. So go ahead and extract that. I mean, depending on your system resources. Right now, I'm using a VM with minimal resources, so experience may vary as far as how long it takes to extract all the contents. But we're talking about several dozens of scripts, binaries, and pictures, images, all that kind of good stuff. So it could take a minute, but usually not. So we'll just go ahead and wait for this to finish up. And it looks like we're about there. All right, less than 10%. Boom, there we go. All right, cool deal. So here is the main folder where Posh-Easy Win PowerShell script is at. As you can see right here, there's some CSV data for like accounts and endpoints. We're going to get to that here in just a little bit. You'll see why that's there. Essentially, when the script runs, you'll see in the middle pane there is icons and endpoint pre-stage endpoint data. We'll show how to get rid of that and how to import our own via a couple methods. So let's go ahead and Control C and open up PowerShell, and we're going to run as administrator. All right, and now a couple things. Let's go ahead and change directory to where we're at. You'll see what we were just looking at just a moment ago. Here's our main script, and here are our dependencies folder with our dependency scripts and stuff like that. So a couple things. We will need to ensure that we can execute scripts on our workstation. So it's as simple as set execution policy bypass, and a little blurb there. Do you want to do this? You trust these scripts? Yep, we do. So capital A, yes to all. Another thing is you may need to do WinRM quick config because we are using WinRM port 5985 to communicate via our remote PowerShell to endpoints, the domain controller, servers, workstations, anything, Windows computer. As you can see, I already have mine set. My firewall's open. And another thing you may have to do is you may have to append your trusted host file for WSMan. So this essentially right here will tell this WSMan item under localhost client trusted host that, hey, we trust all hosts that we're going to connect to via WinRM. And let's go ahead and set that. And it says, hey, this command modifies the trusted host list for WinRM client. Do you want to do this? Yes, we want to, because we're skilled professionals and we know what the deal is. So, all right, we're back. We're still in the same directory. And last but not least, we need to recursively unblock all the folders with scripts and those subfolders and so on, so that the main script, Posh-Easy Win, can function with all its dependency scripts. Okay, so we're going to do a get child item tag recurse type unblock. Right, easy peasy. So, oops, sorry. All right, here we are. So let's go ahead and execute the Posh-Easy Win script, and you can see, boom, a nice little window opens up with end user agreement stuff. You know, hey, you break it, you bought it. Behoove you to read it if you want to. If you're one of those, I like to read every single little thing that I see. Cool deal. It's there for you. Another thing right here, which is a really cool feature. This was added back in summer of 2020. You know, we were doing some stuff, and I was like on a real small screen, and Dan said, "Hey, how would it be if I could allow you to adjust the sizing windows of the GUI?" I was like, absolutely, that would be a great feature. And so he tinkered around with it, and we were able to get the sizing tray right here to kind of set our size. For my particular monitor right here, I'm going to go for about a 1.1. So just left click on this little arrow and drag it. You drag it across, you can check it small. So I usually go about 1.1. We'll do that for this demo right here, and press OK. Here, it's just a lot of really good information that you should read, so that you know how the tool is functioning, what it's using, some of the things to expect. If you're having like some troubleshooting issues, definitely go through here and kind of annotate, you know, hey, this is a good thing to know. I think we kind of went over everything from the get-go as far as, you know, downloading and extracting, WinRM, you know, get child item to unblock all the files, WSMan, trusted all hosts for WinRM connection. I think we're kind of at a good spot right now, but if there's anything else that you want to read, definitely refer to this section right here. All right, and let's go ahead and check box all, and I have read and understand the above information. Okay, so once that's good, we will see another window pop up about the PS-Write HTML module that will install. Essentially what this module is it takes like CSV data and converts it into HTML format so that you can visualize your data in a web GUI type way. It's really cool. I want to get to it later on, but for right now we're just going to kind of get up and running at this point. All right, so you can read this if you like and see what it does. After you're done doing that, you can click yes. And here you'll see that Posh-Easy Win will start loading itself with all the scripts and its subfolders, right? So that's why we did the kind of get child item, recursively unblock. We make sure we unblock everything so that the main script functions and executes properly. As we covered in the previous video, here is the main page, and you can see from the previous video to this one right here is like a lot more data, a lot more endpoints via both accounts and endpoint data, and this comes from these particular CSV files, these right here, accounts and endpoints. If you want to import your own data, if you're a domain joined host, or if you have like the domain controllers like IP or DNS manager IP, you can set all that in your network settings. And if you can like properly resolve IPs, you can input an IP and then resolve it and then get a host name and add it to your list that way. You can pull it remotely via WinRM from the DC or wherever Active Directory is located. If you have the proper credentials, probably DA creds, or you can ask the administrator to run a specific script that will output the host data, the host names, into a file that you can then copy and place right here in your main folder so that when you fire up Posh-Easy Win, it has endpoint data in here. Now what we'll do to kind of start fresh, resize this window real quick. Oops. Oh boy. Windows. What are you doing? All right, I don't want to see any of that. So what you can do is you click on all endpoints right here, and then right click in the white space. And then once you do that, you can go down to node actions all. If we want to start fresh, completely blow this thing away, we'll do delete check nodes. And we're going to confirm deletion of 28 endpoints. Yes. So let's go ahead and delete everything. Boom. There we are. You can do the same for accounts as well. We'll get into that here in just a little bit, but now one or two things, or actually one of three things. You can do NS lookups on hosts if you have the IPs, or you can pull the endpoint data or the host names from Active Directory if you're given the proper credentials. We'll go ahead in just 1 second. Or you can have the admin run a command. Now, what's really cool about this tool is that Dan added some real user-friendly information in here. So if you go to your Posh-Easy Win master folder and you go to examples, and you can see right here that there is PowerShell command to get basic Active Directory computer data. And let's just go ahead and open that up, and it gives you pretty much a blurb, kind of like a description of, hey, look, we're going to run, give this to your local admin or whoever you're trying to get the endpoint data from. Maybe they're not giving you DA creds and you only get WA creds. And you say, hey, can you run this script for me so that I can get the host data from Active Directory so that you have all the host names so that you can manage things from your level at a WA level or query hosts without using DA creds. You can just ask them to run this and it will essentially output the data in a CSV. And then so here it is pretty much right here. You can see, we won't go too into depth right now, but that's where that is at. And then you take it and you'll place it here in your main folder. And that way, when you fire up your script, your Posh-Easy Win script for the first time, you'll have populated data right here. Okay, so now we do it another way, right? So let's say we have, let's see who we are. IP config. Let's see if there's anyone at 192.168.128. Let's see, 15. Okay, so we got a host at .15. Let's see if we have anyone at, let's see, 9. Okay, we got a host at 9. So all right, we've got some hosts in our subnet. Let's go with this one, 128.9. So go here for enumeration, and let's say we're going completely blind to an environment. We have a subnet range, and we say, hey, look, believe these are all like mainly Windows hosts. So we'll go ahead and take our IP 128.9, and let's say we want to do some testnet connections to see what ports are open. So we'll do kind of like an mmap-ish feature, top 100 ports. We'll check. Oops, sorry. Here, 128.9. Top. Okay. We don't want to ping first. We got our IP. All right, let's go ahead and execute. All right, what we got? So what's going on right here is that we have our IP, and it's doing our testnet connections to the top 100 ports. All right, cool deal. You can see that it then took that IP and placed it over here in this other window. So we see, okay, all right, we have a response on 445, 139, and 135 SMB net BIOS. So let's see, since we're a domain joined host, or we're not a domain joined host, we have all the proper IPs and stuff for like DNS manager and everything. We can resolve to the domain. Just do DNS resolution, and yes. And as you can see here, we have a host name, and we can add to computer list right here. Boom. Excellent. So let's see, we have some information. All right, so we have our Win10.04 host. That's one way to import data or start building your host list. We showed the previous way. You could give the admin the script and run it and follow the directions in the text file right here. Once more again, just so you can see that. Boom. All right, you could also just rename the CSV file to endpoint list tree view save if it is your initial import. So real nifty. Go about it that way, or you can go about it the enumeration way. And actually, while we're here, we'll see if we can't add additional information to this endpoint, just so I'll go ahead and clear the list. Now let's take this endpoint and so we have our Win10.04 selected, and we want to go scan checked, checkboxed endpoint. So we have our endpoint checked, and we want to do mmap top 100 ports. We'll go ahead and execute scan. Let's say conduct a port scan on the following. And yes, and we'll show you what this kind of looks like over the wire as well. So it looks like kind of like an mmap scan, so to speak. Now these hosts are kind of close together, so they're like within this on the same VM, so nothing actually came out whenever the switch for our sensor to pick up, so we might not see the testnet connections happen. But right here we have our endpoint that we scanned, and you can see that we have the ports that were added as additional information to our endpoint that we scan. Now, we haven't done anything with credentials up to this point, okay? We've either given the DA our script to run to get the endpoint data, or we've actually been inserted into a subnet somewhere and we've had the proper networking config set up within our own workstation so that we can resolve the hosts with the proper IPs. Now I'm curious to see, this might not show up. Before we go on to that, we can see that our port information has been added to that host. So this just kind of helps you kind of keep building, keep tracking your hosts within your own tool. And if we wanted to add a note, let's see, port scan was done on Win10.04. Update data. Oh, no, don't do that just yet. All right, we can see we have our notes right here, or if we want to add to our op notes, we'll just use the at time. Let's see here, 6:51 p.m. We'll go ahead and add that. All right, so now we're kind of like adding to our op notes, right? Now let's take a step back and let's do something else. So let's go ahead and check our endpoint. Actually, no, we're going to look at the scene real quick, see if we saw any of this actually going across the wire. Okay. Doubt we'll see it because it's like I said, it's all in the same subnet, or not same subnet, but in the same VM. Scroll a little bit right here. Okay, so no testnet connections or anything seen just yet. If we were actually, I think this IP right here is actually on a different VM separate that has to ride over a switch. So in order for the DC to communicate to it, so that traffic will pass over the switch that's being monitored right now. So let's go ahead and see if we can enumerate anything on that endpoint as well. And we'll do, let's do maybe top 1,000. I don't know, that might take too long. Let's just do the top 100 for now. Alrighty, execute, scan. Okay, so our admin workstation is on one physical device, and it is now doing testnet connections to another instance that's on another physical device, and they have to ride over the switch. And that switch, we have everything spanned to ports that are the traffic's being captured and sent to our security onion. Let's see here. So we have a few more ports open. 110. All right. I'm looking at a mail server here. SCT. Okay. All right. So we have some additional information. Let's see what this is. Do resolution. And we have mail server 2016. Go ahead and add that to our tree list as well. So let's see, what do we have? All right, so you can see right here, like 0 ports enumerated. And all right, here we have 3 ports, so we can go ahead and want to conduct another scan, just so we can kind of keep that information so we know what ports are open on this mail server. We can go ahead and do, select our endpoint right here, and then scan checked boxed endpoints and conduct our scan. So up to this point, still no credentials have been used. We're just in the environment. We're using PowerShell, and we're just trying to get kind of become situationally aware of what our endpoints are, and kind of like characterizing them and stuff like that. So you can see right here that we have our 6 ports that are open, and we can add that to our op notes if we wanted to kind of keep track of everything as we go on. So that's that right there. Let's see if our sensor happened to pick up on that, and boom, there it is. So as you can see, it looks like we have our sensor picked up on some suspicious scans based on the string that was in the con log. It'll hit on these emerging threat rules. So nothing to be really crazy about. We just know that there's some scanning going on. And if you want to kind of like dive deeper into that, if you're a security onion fan, you can look at the log and kind of see where it's coming from, which is us, who it's going to, things like that. So some of them are false positives, but it's kind of cool to see. And we have our traffic login as well. All right. Back to Posh-Easy Win. So now let's take a step back and let's do this with credentials. Right now, let's say we're given DA creds to be able to pull this data from Active Directory. All right, so we have, now we're going to go ahead and start brand new, and we're going to have this box right here checked, all endpoints, and right click in the white space, and then delete check nodes. All right, so yes. All right, all the information is gone. All right, pretty cool. All right, so now let's go ahead and input credentials. All right, now this is why we wanted to enable WinRM, so that we can communicate to the DC. So we'll go ahead and manage credentials. And this feature right here is really nifty as far as the automatic password rolling. I really want to dive into that in a whole separate video, because I really do think it's beneficial for like a security purpose. When you're connecting to endpoints, you don't want to leave cache credentials exposed to potential adversaries and whatnot. So this role credentialing feature is really, really, really cool. I think Dan did a really good job at highlighting, hey, look, we don't want to, be a DA or a WA and win our in all over the place, and then we forget to kill our session, or we properly don't clear our cache creds or something like that, and they become compromised due to Mimikatz or whatever. So we'll definitely dive into that. You can see that happening, but right now we're going to create new credentials, and we'll do, you have to do your domain name, so you can do a quick NS lookup right here, and you can see that it's DC 2016 myrangelab.local. So I'm going to use myrangelab and administrator. All right, I think I spelled that right. And then my credentials. think I input this right. Sometimes I kind of fat figure some things, so if it didn't, wasn't inputted right. Yeah. All right, so you can see that it has the credentials stored in an XML file, and those credentials are now here in this folder, credential management, right? Okay, so now we need to communicate to our DC where Active Directory is at. So right here, we did an NS lookup, and we found that this is our DC's IP, all right? In some cases, you may be able to only query the DC by hostname, and in other cases, you may be able to do it by IP. Just know that you can try either or, depending on your environment, how it's set up, right? So we're going to right click here in the white space, and we're going to import endpoint data, and we're going to do Active Directory, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to try with the IP first. It was actually 25. Yep, .25. All right, good to go. Import hosts. We're going to use these credentials, and yes. All right, give it a second, and boom, there we are. You can do a little drop down real quick and just click on conical name again, and it'll kind of categorize everything by its OS. So you can see that Active Directory was tracking the domain controller, its respective OU, enterprise workstations with IP information, and Windows 7 machine, and our mail servers and our servers. So that was real easy. It was actually almost too easy. In some cases, or most cases, you're probably not, as a low-level analyst or someone that's coming into a new environment, going to be given DA creds. So it's good to work with the admin to say, hey, can you do this for me so that we can import the data ourselves? And they'll probably most likely just give you WA creds. Now, at this point, we really don't need DA creds to communicate with our workstations. We can use WA creds. And if we want to do one last thing before we peel off, we'll go ahead, we can get rid of this old data, and then right click right here. And then we're gonna go ahead and I think it's right here, yes. Okay, good, there we go. So we deleted the account data, so we wanna pull new account data. So it's clear right here, we wanna know also the accounts. Let's see, so we're gonna right click in the white space, and we will import account data from Active Directory. Here's our DC, where Active Directory is at. Import accounts, yes, and boom. Just come right here and just click on this right here. All right, the administrator, Cole, which is me, Hunter, our guest, our default accounts, our admin accounts, so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure I made this one right here a workstation admin. So we can click on it and see if we can look up any additional information. Yep, sure is. So we can see right here that this particular user is a part of workstation admins. And if you want to know anything else about workstation admins and how to do that, just do a quick Google search, how to make workstation admins. And it's pretty easy. You'll create an account, you'll add it to a particular group, and then you'll make a GPO to push out the workstation admin group, which would then be applied to each workstation to make your username a part of the local administrator group, so that you can do admin functions but at a workstation level. So you may only be given workstation admin creds. That being said, I think we got to a good point for importing data, kind of getting a situational awareness view of what subnet we're in and how we can do NS lookups with the tool, do some port scanning, things like that, and also see what that looks like over the wire. You're also going to see some stuff like this right here, WinRM. The Zericata will alert on possible lateral movement. Nothing to be alarmed about. If you're familiar with your environment, then you'll know, hey, I know these hosts, I know these IPs. This is all good, nothing to worry about here, but just so you know, you will see that over your log data if you have some sort of sensor log capability. But yep, I think at this point, I think we're at a good place as far as going on to the next step and querying endpoints for particular pieces of information. If there's anything else that you guys would like to see or for me to touch on and go over more, please comment on the video, like, subscribe, and I definitely want to keep making more of these videos to kind of show how awesome this tool is and how far we can push it. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace.